Hey YouTube, welcome to installment 2 of Franchise Fridays. This week I will be looking at the Mummy trilogy, which started back in 1999 with The Mummy, followed by 2001's The Mummy Returns, and ending with 2008's The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. So we'll begin with The Mummy. The story follows a gunslinging American named Rick O'Connell, a British librarian named Evelyn Carnahan, and her treasure-seeking brother Jonathan, and they are searching for the Egyptian city of the dead Hamunaptra in hopes of finding treasure and historical artifacts. Instead, they find and awaken a 3,000-year-old mummy who is essentially a walking plague. Now, The Mummy is a fun but not great movie. The action that's there, it's pretty enjoyable. Some of the humor is chuckle-worthy, but most of it's cheesy, and the story's actually pretty interesting. However, there are some major flaws with the whole movie. For starters, the movie is labeled as an action-adventure movie, but there are many instances of comedic slapstick that just pull you out of the experience. All that was missing was a cartoon sound effect. Also, the acting's pretty average, and the CGI is really dated. But if you're looking for a campy adventure movie, then you'll probably have a good time, but there are some better adventure movies out there. I give The Mummy a 6 out of 10. Next is the sequel, The Mummy Returns. Approximately 9 years have passed since the events of the first movie. Rick and Evelyn have gotten married, and they have a son, and they're still raiding tombs. In their latest tomb, they find the Bracelet of Anubis, which belonged to an ancient warrior known as the Scorpion King, and it is the key to unleashing the army of Anubis. However, an Egyptian cult has resurrected Imhotep, the mummy from the first movie, and they plan on him killing the Scorpion King and controlling Anubis' army. Now, The Mummy Returns has the same strengths and flaws as the first, but with some improvements here and there. First, once again, the story is still quite interesting. The action is much better than the first one, and there's more heart than the first. Also, the out-of-place comedic slapstick has been toned down a bit. Not completely, but less than the first. The in-place humor is still funny at times and corny at others, but forgivable. And the CGI, it's still dated, but an improvement on the first movie. So if you had a little fun with the original, then The Mummy Returns is definitely worth your time. I give The Mummy Returns a 7 out of 10. The series concludes with The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. Roughly a decade has passed since Rick and Evelyn defeated Imhotep and the Scorpion King, and now they live a happy, normal life together. Now their son has taken up the exploring torch and has found the tomb of an evil Chinese warlord. But a Chinese army resurrects the warlord and plans to lead him to immortality so they can conquer the world. Now, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor comes to us from Rob Cohen, the same director of Triple X and The Fast and Furious #1. So going into this, I was expecting a pretty fun movie. It didn't happen. The movie turns its back on all the improvements the second one made, and it even destroys some of the fun from the first one. The humor is more forced than ever, the story isn't that engaging, and the acting is completely flat, and the action is not even that great. Plus, this movie came out 7 years after the second film, yet the CGI here looks worse than it did in 2. I give The Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor a 3 out of 10. Now to talk about the series as a whole. The Mummy series, for the most part, is an enjoyable franchise if you enjoy adventure-type films and you're willing to suspend disbelief. As for the weakest, obviously movie number 3 takes the cake on that one. Don't really need to explain much. And the strongest of the series, I have to say, is actually The Mummy Returns. It feels like the filmmakers looked at the first, saw the flaws, and while not completely removing them all, they fixed them enough to be overlooked. So as a whole, the Mummy series gets a 7 out of 10. And that concludes this installment of Franchise Friday. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check me out on Facebook for more updates. This is Beardmaster180 reminding you that this has been my own personal opinion. You are in control of yours. Thanks for watching.